My story begins here in Bakersfield. I was born and raised here. Um, I was raised in the Church of Christ since the day I was born. My brothers, my mom, dad, grandparents, everyone goes there. And, I had a pretty normal childhood, middle class. My parents taught me right from wrong, and I can't say much bad about my childhood. It was awesome. High points in my journey were first off being baptized. It was an amazing feeling for me. I wasn't quite sure what I was doing yet. I was only 14. Wasn't sure what getting baptized entailed, but I know that when I rose up from the water, I just felt better. And from that day on, I had a relationship with God and with Jesus. At the time they didn't seem like low points, but in high school when I started experimenting with drugs, a little marijuana, ecstasy and whatnot, it was just having fun then. But, when I was doing that, my relationship, my Christianity just got put on the back burner. And it was almost non-existent, except for when I went to church on Sundays. And then eventually it escalated. One day I tried methamphetamine, and the next thing I knew I stuck a needle in my arm. And things were never the same after that. I became a slave to the drug. I couldn't live with it and I couldn't live without it. And it landed me here on the streets, exactly where I'm standing, completely hopeless. This building right here actually has the nickname the Shooting Gallery. At any point in time, you can find people in there shooting up, sleeping, doing whatever. It's one of many buildings around here. And sadly, I took part in this building. I knew it very well. I was struggling with my Christianity. I couldn't understand how I got there and if God would ever get me out of this. But, when I still went to church on Sunday morning with my family there at Westside, I felt loved again, and I couldn't live without that. Without that, I don't know what I'd do here. I would have been dead or locked up. Either my parents would come pick me up just right around the corner here out front of the shelter, or someone else from church would come pick me up, and I'm really grateful for those people. What was actually really frustrating for me is growing up, you learn that you pray, you lay what you need before God, and He answers it for you. And in my case, it seemed that nothing was getting answered. I prayed day and night for Him to take me out of this situation, just to take this obsession away from me and get me out of this and get me back to the life that I knew. Now today, I thank God for this problem. If it weren't for this, I never would have been drawn close enough to Him. I never would have known that I needed Jesus, and I never would have built a relationship with Him. So sometimes I think it's good now to thank God for unanswered prayers, because in a roundabout way it does get answered. You get what you need. Honestly, I could say that the obsession has been lifted. Every once in a while, the thought enters my mind, but I don't dwell on it like I used to. I've chosen to turn my will and my life over to God, and if I do that, there's no going back. Now, my mind still likes to play its tricks on me, and when my selfishness gets in the way, I sometimes almost talk myself into it, that it's okay. But deep down, I know it's wrong, and I know I can't get back to it. It's going to be progress, not perfection from here on out. Where I'm at spiritually today, I feel almost compelled to reach out to other people. I mean, God's finally given me this great gift, and this gift is almost like food. It just spoils if it sits there. I got to give it away to someone else. So today I'm really liking coming back to this spot, but in a different way. My care group goes right down there and serves the homeless, and I love doing that. I thrive on that now. And also, anyone that has a problem with addiction, whether it be drugs or alcohol, I love it when people come up to ask me for help. It's a joy now. My relationship with God has matured in many ways. Before it was like a time card. You know, I go every Sunday, I take communion, I've been baptized, check, check, check. But now I go to church because I can't imagine myself not being there. Now that I understand that I've been given this gift of the Holy Spirit, that Spirit really gnaws at you when you just drop it. And I can't do that. My relationship with God has changed my outlook on everything very drastically, you know. From the way that I look up at the sky to the way that I look at people. You know, before I was ugly towards people. I was mean, nasty, and I only cared about myself. And, you know, looking back on how I was then and seeing how people are, you know, how they act to me, I can understand now. You know, I can actually say they're just another person. And who am I to, you know, to judge them and put this stereotype on that person? I can't do that to one of God's children. And I definitely appreciate the world that God's given me. I look around and I try every morning just to say thank you. You know, I just can't believe how much He loved me.